live on YouTube. Excellent. So what we're going to do is talking about time boxing and energy mapping. So what we will do is make sure we have the chat on sort of one side and we can see things as well. And we'll get straight into the presentation. So time boxing and energy management. So let's go to the first slide. So the core idea here is that we want to align the tasks we have to do throughout the day with our natural energy peaks and troughs, as opposed to just some assigned hour of the day, right? So I think that's a very powerful concept. And what we're going to do is we're going to go with a proposed energy curve. Now, I think it's important because this is very individualistic, meaning that you got to keep track of your own. Oh, appreciate the likes. Thank you so much. You got to keep track of your own energy levels. So this is a proposed one here for just maybe a typical person, right? So in the morning, 7 to 12, right? You have a lot of energy, so you can be very analytical and you can develop complex algorithms or problems or debug hard things. And then sort of in the afternoon, your energy goes, and what I'm suggesting here is that you use this for maybe more creative things like brainstorming or code reviews, or just more sparse laid out things when you're like less focused, less in the zone. And then evening, what I suggest is you do is like, assuming you have given everything you could have given, nothing is in the tank. You do the low intensity tasks, the shallow work tasks, the admin task, because you will have to actually end up doing those tasks anyway. But I recommend you just do those things in the evening, as opposed to like spending your whole morning when you have the highest energy levels doing those tasks. Cool. Does that make sense? Excellent. Let's move on to the next slide. Okay, so the time box formula. Now you pick some amount of time you can comfortably work in. So here I suggested 90 minutes of work and then 15 minutes of rest, right? So try that. Maybe if you can only do 60 minutes and then you might need 15 minutes of rest, or maybe you do 60 minutes, you need 10 minutes. Pick whatever works for you, but set up these boxes. So it's going to be work, rest, work, rest, work, rest. And then essentially you want to set a bunch of these in the morning or afternoon or whatever, and just stack them, do them 3 or 4 times. And then that is pretty much a full day of work. So it's important to accompany both. You absolutely need rest when you're doing these things as well. Okay, so let's move on to the next slide. Okay, so also for everyone on TikTok, I am streaming this on YouTube, and the slides accompanying my voice are there, so you can have a look at that as well. The link is in my bio, so go find that. But I guess if you want to stay here for now, just listen to what I've got to say. Okay, so as you know, I love to do all the key takeaways before I get into the meat and the details of things. So that's what I'm going to do, and then I'm going to go a little bit more into the detail of everything. So, for the morning, I suggest you do all your analytical tasks. The afternoon, creativity, where you can just sort of be a bit sparse with your brain and think a little bit outside the box. And then how the time boxing will work is like you pick some work time and rest time. So maybe 90 minutes, 15 minutes, or maybe 90 minutes, 10 minutes, or maybe 60 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever works for you, right? And then protect your high energy blocks for your hardest programs. Right, so what I'm talking about, the high energy blocks are the morning. So protect those, like just make sure no one interrupts them at all. Okay, cool. So let's move on to the next slide. Okay, so identify your hardest problem. So make sure you write a plan. So you have to identify what's going on and then schedule it during your peak energy. So maybe you have to write some piece of complex code for tomorrow. And so, okay, I'm just going to schedule that now. Never waste a peak energy period on sending emails and doing admin tasks, because no matter what happens, that peak energy is going to run out. And when it runs out, and it's way harder to do a more complex task when you have spent all that, and you don't want to be wasting it or spending it on emails, right at the start of the day. Okay, cool. So more than halfway through the slides. So here's some wrong ways to do it, right? So the hardest problem So like do the hardest problem at 3 p.m. When you have low energy levels. That's probably not a good. Another example is emails during your work periods. Working 4 hours straight. Even though that sounds like, whoa, you can work 4 hours straight, you actually need the rest. You'll burn out. You'll sort of, your mind will need the rest. If you've been working properly and diligently, your mind does need the rest. So as I said in the previous slides, you go for like 90 minutes and 15 minutes, or you go for like, 60 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever, floats your boat, and doing the same task all day. Sometimes you do need a little bit of variety. Try get things done and then switch to something. But sometimes you just need to push through. It's a really big task and you can do it. You can do it all day as well. Okay, so right way to do things. So hardest problem at 9 a.m. or sort of close to when you get up. Emails batched at your low energy periods of the day. 90-minute blocks with like short breaks in between, right? So that's all the stuff I've mentioned before, and tasks matched to your energy level. So emails sort of in the evening, really complex thinking tasks, probably in the morning or sort of when you get up, right? And the result is that you have high value tasks completed. And you also sustain your energy and avoid things like burnout or just getting exhausted when you have things like hard things you have yet to be done, right? Because you've done them already in those high energy periods of the day. Okay, cool. So here's a proposed schedule. I mean, you could use this here if you've seen the slides, or what I suggest you do as homework, right? Come up with your own schedule. So actually, while people are here, I would love to know when does your high energy period start? So just yell out times in the chat or something like that. So when does your high energy period start? I will have a sip of coffee while I wait for some responses. Then I'll move on to the next slide. Maybe 2 sips. Okay. Anyway, I am gonna move on now. Move on to the next slide. And the last slide, I love these anchors. I always write down these anchors, right? These anchors are very important. So one of my favorite anchors from the other courses, the mindset courses and stuff like that, was feed progress, not pleasure, right? Feed the progress, not the pleasure. So this anchor is cool. It's gonna be match energy, not hours. Yeah, match energy, not the hours. Does everyone understand what that means? Say, give me a like if you do understand. I appreciate the likes, thank you. Give me a like if you understand what that means. Give me a no in the comments or something if you don't understand what that means. That's sort of what I went through in the previous slides. But if you do understand what it means, right? Maybe just write it down somewhere or put in the comments, like match your energy, not your hours. So stop forcing, sometimes you stop forcing the really hard work in low energy periods. Try get them done when you have high energy periods, and start scheduling. So that means start scheduling strategically, do things strategically. Now I get it. Sometimes you have a deadline and you will have to brute force it. But don't make it a habit. Don't make it a habit. When you can, be smart about how you manage your energy levels. Okay, cool. That is the end of the presentation. That is going to be a short one. I'm going to come back in the next one for another lesson. So here I'm going to do a little sales. I have a school community essentially, and it's a coding community. And what we're doing is teaching people some of the mindset tools you need to become a better coder. That is what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing here. And the next one we're going to do is focus on tools. We're going to talk about some tools and stuff like that, building up your environment for the next stream. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to end the stream here. And if anyone has any final questions, say something now. Otherwise, I'm going to quit the stream, just get the slides ready and come back to the next one. Okay. Well, I appreciate everyone. Thank you for tuning in. And yeah, I'll see you